Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. Today I have with me Sri Vibhuti Jha, and he's a very good friend of mine. You might have seen him in Jaipur Dialogues and many other platforms where he usually comes in with a Hindutva point of view. I think, although I haven't heard enough of his debates to say that this is what he stands for. At the same time, he's a great friend of mine. I've had the honor of sharing a couple of panel discussions with him, and he's now running for the state assembly in the state of New York. Let's welcome Vibhuti Ji and let us see what he has to say about why I think Islamophobia is being used as a ruse by Ilhan Omar, but she's actually being Hinduphobic. And I've done many shows thus far showing how the criteria for attack is a Hindu American candidate. It doesn't matter whether that person is from a Democratic Party or from the Republican Party. So let's welcome Vibhuti Jha. Namaskar. How are you, sir?
Very well. Thank you very much for having me, Sriji. This is wonderful to meet with you for the first time on PGurus. So I'm honored, delighted, and very happy. Thank you.
So now let us start speaking Americanese form of English. So we drop all the sir, G, everything. Vibhuti, it's a great thing that you have taken upon yourself. Being in politics is very tough. It's a 24/7 profession, and also setting aside time to fight for what you believe in. And you see, this is the right way, in my opinion. You start at the state level, prove your credentials, and then you start moving up based on where it takes you. I mean, it will take you somewhere. That's how I see it. Vibhuti, please tell our viewers which constituency in New York are you standing from, and whether you agree with me or not that I'm making a statement that Ilhan Omar has become Hinduphobic and she is going after every Hindu American politician. And this new version of the bill that she has brought, again, is an indirect attack.
Thank you, Sri. Thank you for inviting me here. My district is New York Assembly District 16. It makes up in the North Shore. It makes up of Port Washington, Manor Haven Village, Sands Point, Great Neck, Manhasset, New Hyde Park, Roslyn Heights, Roslyn Estates, and certain areas of Old Westbury as well. So it's a very good constituency. It's a totally blue constituency. And, it is, I have taken up this challenge. And, as the saying goes, the last straw on the camel's back, or the trigger point for me to expect and hope and pray that we need a voice happened during a time when our swastik symbol was going to be declared as law, as a hate symbol in New York State. And when we came to know about it, the entire community rose up. We had a very powerful Zoom meeting in which, to our surprise, to my surprise for sure, most of the assemblymen and senators from New York State expressed the complete shock that we didn't even know that this symbol was so important for you. And the thought that occurred to my mind was that these people were doing things which was so against our core swastik symbol behind a false premise. And at that time I said, there has to be a voice, our voice there, in the assembly, in the state legislatures. And I am a great believer in staying engaged with the process of the governance that happens, particularly in a country like this, which gives us an opportunity to interact. And I think my mother's soul must have said tathastu. And, I got a call from Republican headquarters that, would you like to contest the election? I said, yes, you are right. It is a very, very tough job. It's a very tough assignment. But, standing by the sidelines, clapping, criticizing is one part of the story. Getting engaged with the process is another challenge, which a very good friend of mine immediately jumped up and said, I thought you only were talking, but you are also a karma yogi who jumped into the battle. So here I am in the New York State Assembly contest that is going to happen on November 8th. Thank you very much for that introduction. Regarding Omar and her Hinduphobia, you know, one of the things which is very important to recall, that intent is something that we never know. What Ilhan Omar is as a person, I do not know. But what you say and do defines you. And what defines her is a complete doing things against India, which by implication becomes very Hinduphobic. Her entire Islamophobia bill, which we all have talked about multiple times, is driven towards India. The bill refers to India. Likewise, this particular bill, the declaring India a country of particular interest, it talks about only India and Hindu. She visited Pakistan, POK area as a guest of Pakistan government. Nobody knows who funded her, but she went and made the comment. She's prone to making very strong statements, which has made her famous or infamous, as she prefers to call it, when she said, some people attacked 9/11, attacked the things like that. So some people, remember, she rakes up issues to remain in controversy, which gives her a platform to do that. And we all know who are her supporters. So my submission would be that she is playing Islamophobia card. She is playing a Hinduphobia card, and that's where keeps her constituency happy. And just to add to that is, look at the attack on Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy in Chicago.
Yes.
That is so shameful. She's not doing it against anybody else, but against Raja. This points out to the fact that she has backing and support of some vested group, whatever is her constituency, to do what she's doing.
And let's take a quick look at your constituency. Perhaps you can tell us a little bit about the demographics. Is it middle class? Is it working families? Or is it people who go and commute? I know a couple of the places you've mentioned. I'm not so sure how close it is or far it is from places like Connecticut, which is sort of like New York extension. Banking is in Connecticut, and a whole bunch of other industries. And New York as a state has a very solid base of machining tools and heavy equipment thing. Like I would say equated to what happens in Germany, heavy engineering stuff. New York has a lot of, including all the way up to Rochester. It's a very vibrant state. So please, can I describe to our viewers your state and your aspirations for them, your constituency, and let's listen and let's hear from you what you feel you can do.
Oh, thank you very much for that, for this question. New York's, my constituency, District 16, is a very prosperous community. It has its own dedicated metro line. I mean, Long Island Railroad, which runs from Penn Station to Port Washington. On that line exists Manhasset, Great Neck, Plandome, and Great Neck, and all these areas. So it is a lot of people who work in Manhattan live in New York in this area. It's a very comfortable line. The constituency is very wealthy, very well-to-do. And it also has very strong smattering of working class people in villages of Manor Haven and others, where most of the people live in rental accommodation. And so they all are going to work as painter, fitter, turners, plumbers, and everything else. So it is a mix of a community. It's a kind of a reflection of America as a nation. We have white people, we have Chinese, we have Latinos, we have significant Indians who are here. Number of Indians who live in this community. And so it is not very far. It's 35 miles east of New York City. Connecticut is right across the bay, the Sound that we call it here. We can sight them from here. So yes, this is a very interesting constituency, and I'm very delighted to have the opportunity to contest here. And what I'm looking forward to doing, and as I said in my conversation with somebody, is that I don't want Port Washington, a very prosperous, peaceful community, to end up in a democratic rule in which it resembles any of the democratic-run cities which are plagued with violence, plagued with indiscipline, and plagued with everything else. That's what is important here. That's what the battle lines are drawn on that.
Vibhuti, you've taken me down memory lane. I remember coming to Manhasset. There was a digital camera company called Olympus of Japan. They used to have an office there, and I had come down there. And I remember going to the sound area where you have the ferries going across to Manhattan.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful area, beautiful area.
Yeah, it is
And
a good area. Thank you. Yeah.
the one thing that I learned, I mean, my passenger, he was actually a New Yorker, but he had moved to Los Angeles, and he was driving the car. And so what happens is every state, every area has its own driving habits. And since he had not been there and moved to LA, he had developed the LA habits. And in Manhasset, what I noticed was the driver behind you has an uncanny knack of knowing 1 second before the light turns green. And if you don't start moving in that 1 second before the light turns green, boom, there's a gentle nudge, boom.
You're so right. You're so right. We all have to anticipate the green light or the orange.
Exactly. And this guy was tearing his hair in frustration, said, I knew this thing, but I don't know, I've forgotten all these habits.
Yeah. Manhattan particularly has very strong presence of the medical system. Long Island Jewish Hospital, Long Island North Shore Health Center. They are very, very good health clinics here. Plus, we have a lot of working class people as well in New Hyde Park area, small businesses. They're all worried about the tax element of that. So peace and law and order is a key issue in our constituency here, right?
So have you started the grassroots, like door-to-door kind of stuff already? Or how is your plan? I mean, are you planning to go social media and also door-to-door? I don't know. Each constituency has a certain culture about it, that this is the way people are interacted with,
right,
town hall meetings or what have you. Maybe you can share a little bit about how you are planning to make your pitch.
Oh, sure. Thank you for asking that, because the campaign is, as you know, is also very closely related to reaching out to approximately 170,000 voters in this area. And so it has to be door to door. It has to be social media. We need to take advantage of the technology. And between September and October at that time, there will be 5 or 6 debates by newspaper agencies and certain specific leagues, the Women League and others. There will be debate between me and my competitor. And of course, September to October time is known as the war time. This is the strategy sessions. We are getting myself out in the public so that people get to know me and they know the candidate. It's very important for me to reach out to Republicans. I'm fighting on the Republican ticket. So Republican, independents, conservatives, and then the Democrats. Because as you know, the party lines are very easily divided. But important part is to mobilize my constituency, essential supporters, to get onto the vote, let them to know that you have a very viable guy who can win. It's just not run-of-the-mill guy, and I'm very serious about it because I want to talk about how the business of politics can benefit from my business experience of banking and business that I have done all my life. So this is very important to do that. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Vibhuti. I forgot to ask you, can you describe Vibhuti the person? This is usually the first question that is asked. My bad, as they say in the United States these days. My mistake. So perhaps you can walk us back to when you arrived in the United States. You've been a banker. What do you do? And just a little bit more about knowing Vibhuti the person.
Thank you. This is the toughest question because, talking about yourself. But I came to the US in 1991. I was at that time working in India with American Express Bank in corporate banking and private banking. And prior to that, with 8 years, I was with the Reserve Bank of India, having qualified to become the officer in the direct recruitment system of RBI those days. So after I left RBI, I joined American Express. The pendulum swung from compliance control and being the boss. I became into the complete performance-driven area of American Express, where I could be fired if he did not deliver, right? So my father did two hours of extra puja so that I have more sense and stay put where I am, not to take the risk of moving to American Express. But I was always a risk taker. I was always believer to be, going ahead and taking chances with your life, because if you don't take risk, nothing happens. And I joined American Express in 1991. American Express sent me here to champion India's liberalization program. So I was in the senior leadership role. Los Angeles was my headquarters, although American Express was in New York. Then after 3 years in LA, I came to New York. I was the head here. And I have carried that tradition. I was one of the, I proudly call that I belong to a band of a few good men who brought the India's liberalization story to America. And that's the time. And that's the time I realized, and I will very proudly say that I became a better Hindu, better Indian, better human after coming to America, because I realized there were so much good things about us which the world doesn't know. We haven't cared to say that. So in my addresses to companies and corporations, I realized that I have, I began to answer questions about us, India, Hindus, why we are the way we are. I have answered questions which have ranged from sublime to stupid. So, that's what I've done. And then I switched over to business consulting. I decided to stay back and to give my son a good education here. I have only one son. I did not want to go back to India, leave him here. So I said, hey, that's my next step. So I quit American Express, started my own career, spent 3 years in insurance industry, from senior manager of American Express to an insurance agent. It was my biggest cultural adjustment. But the moment I got my green card, I moved ahead and this started my business of joint ventures and consulting with the Indian and the US aisle that I began to sell.
Viewers, the period during which Vibhuti was part of American Express, they had some iconic ads. Like, this is one thing that has stuck in my mind from that period. Lois Lane is in trouble. She can't pay for what she bought at a store. And then Superman comes there. But then he says, in my dress, I don't have a place to keep my credit card. So sorry, I can't help you. And then Seinfeld happens to be standing there and he fishes out an American Express card. And it says that it's everywhere you want to be, or something to that effect. So American Express really took off. I mean, they were usually the guys who were like, we are the high end of the credit card industry. But then a series of ads and amazing advertising and promotion, they really became the competition to MasterCard and Visa. In fact, if I remember correctly, up until 2 years ago, Costco only gave American Express credit cards.
Yes. You are absolutely right. Talking about that advertisement, I will share with you something which very few Indians know about it. We made Vijay Amritraj, who lives in LA. We got to know him. I think if you call him today and ask, do you know Vibhuti Jha? He will say yes. We made Vijay Amritraj our spokesman for NRI services. And we crafted an ad campaign, he was very happy, and it worked very well. So in that ad campaign, we show Vijay Amritraj serving an ace, and then he's rushing to the net and returns a service return to winner. The caption read, American Express, great service, great return. That's right. Vijay was very happy about it, he said that came out very well. So
I've heard some very interesting stories about Vijay, and I want to share one story here with our viewers. So a friend of mine gets invited to a dinner. Those days he was in LA. His brother is a very successful producer, by the way, Hollywood producer, Ashok Amritraj.
Yes.
Double Trouble is one of the movies that he produced, which is a big hit. Claude Van Damme, Jean-Claude Van Damme's movie. So Vijay is part of this dinner thing, and my friend goes into the house, and Vijay says, "Hello, I am Vijay," and he's taken aback. I think this man looks familiar, when he's too shy to ask, "Who are you?" And then it comes out that he is Vijay Amritraj and so on. So dinner table conversation. So Vijay says that, my grandma always used to ask me, if you have to lose, why can't you lose in India itself? Why do you have to go all over the world to lose?
Vijay has a tremendous sense of humor. Very, very bright sense of humor. He has regaled the audiences with his. But I must share with you, I met the whole family actually when we hosted um, one of our country manager in LA, and Vijay was the spokesman, and his entire family, his parents also came for that event. So I remember with great joy meeting his entire family over there, and he has enormous sense of humor. Wonderful guy.
And he was a gentleman in an era where they had brash tennis stars, John McEnroe, Jimmy Connors, who would sulk when the call didn't go for them. And here he was, a gentleman tennis player, beautiful serve. And I think he had some physical restraints. And despite that, he made such a big mark in tennis worldwide. I'm not talking about India. In India, he was the undisputed champion.
I'll tell you something. It's a very interesting story that shows the quality of a human being. I go to US Open every year, and there was a time when they were playing gentlemen's tennis, all 40 plus people. I ended up in the stadium where Vijay was playing doubles. Believe it or not, it was what a gesture he showed. He saw me, all right? I didn't make any noise to attract his attention. He saw me. I was sitting with my friends. Vijay walked up to me. Good to see you here, Vibhuti. Right? Just imagine during the serve change.
Right.
He comes up to me, shakes my hand, and says, good to see you here. My friend said, you know him too? And then one time he invited me to the commentator's box, sat there. So that showed the quality of his heart and mind. That even though the transaction was over, he still remembered me as a friend, as a human. That shows the quality of the heart of that man.
Yes, indeed. And I, on a similar note, and this will come in handy for you, Vibhuti, in your campaigns. There was a survey taken about doctors who the patients considered gave the best service to them. And uniformly, it is Indian origin doctors that seem to score very high. They seem to have that extra empathy when they are treating the patient. There's a human touch. It's not just like, okay, prescribe this, I'm off to my next patient. But somehow they seem to have that a little bit more time. They seem to know their family. This is reflected in the community. They're one of the most sought after physicians in the whole United States.
It is a cultural thing. It is absolutely a cultural thing, and it is truly powerful. That's the way we are. And that's what angers me most, is that we are the most, I'm reminded, I'll share with your audiences, which are my experience of a senator once told me, that we love you Indians as immigrants to this community, to this country. You are professionals, you work hard, you have family values, you have cultural values, you take care of your children, you are in the highest median income, you are not a law and order problem anywhere in the world as an immigrant. You contribute to the society so much, and you ask for nothing. So it's time for Indians to begin to know how to ask.
Yes.
The saying goes, crying baby gets more milk. And that's what is important. We have to assert ourselves. This is critical for us, and this is an education I learned in American Express in India, because I was very good at structuring products and to meet the client need. One day my country manager called me and asked me this question, that I believe you are the one who designed these products. I said, yes. Why didn't you tell me? It's not about blowing your trumpet or beating your drum. But if you don't tell me, success has many claimants.
Yes.
So others are
failure is an orphan.
That's the thing that struck in my mind, is that yes, if we are good, our value systems are good, why aren't we talking about it? That's what we have to begin to do.
Absolutely, Vibhuti. And viewers, this is the first in a series of chats that we're going to have with Vibhuti. As he crisscrosses his constituency, he is going to come across some real life stories. I want to really try and introduce him to the entire world, because PGurus has a viewership across the world. Vibhuti is a great person, and this human touch is going to serve every politician well, as long as they know that, look, this is just not saying that I did this, but by their own behavior, they are going to do this thing. So stay tuned, viewers. We are going to have more of Vibhuti over the next few weeks as this campaign heats up. Vibhuti, we have a few questions for you from our viewers. So if you don't mind, let's take a couple of questions.
Why not?
Yeah. First question is from AK. VBG, what is the Indian government doing about it? And there is a question before this. Can you go back to the Mr. Lee question? One second. The question has come in a sequence. Yes. Mr. Lee wants to know, Vibhuti, do you think it is the Ilhan Omar-led progressive group under the Democrats who forced the Gulf states to denounce India in the Nupur Gate issue?
That's a very pointed question, very relevant question. Whether it was a Omar-led progressive group which forced Qatar and other countries to denounce India, I would not know that. I wouldn't know that whether she was herself responsible. But yes, the response of Qatari government and Kuwaiti governments was absolutely shameful. Because what happened was, in Nupur case, everybody knows. This is the issue which is very, very important. Nupur did not construct a fact. Nupur did not state an unstated thing. She did not cook up a fact. She quoted from the very text at the time when somebody was abusing Hindu gods and goddesses. So she asked the question. That's what is important here. And to this question, I would urge all the viewers to demand reciprocity, which is I tweeted after this issue happened, that if you do not denounce us, I will not denounce you. You question my gods, my prayer system, the way we live, then you have to be able to tolerate a counter question. And that's what is important. So to answer the question, I wouldn't personally know about this one. I don't think anybody cares for that, but that fact happened and Government of India responded to those. Thank you.
The next question, Vibhuti Ji, what's the Indian government doing about it, and is it not interference in our internal matters? Can we also pass a bill and declare US as a nation of concern? This is about that bill, that resolution.
Yes. I mean, this is a very good question. It calls for an engagement. Government of India in the Congress regime was different. The Government of India in this regime is different. External Affairs Minister himself said, expect some robust foreign policy pronouncement and statements coming from India. So the question is, there are certain issues happen in a particular country. We feel that Government of India must respond to these things. At the same time, remember one thing, this is not a government action. It is an individual member of parliament, to use that parlance, individual member of Congress of Democratic Party who has moved a resolution. I am saying their similar resolution can be passed or placed on Indian Parliament by an individual parliamentarian belonging to any party, because you need to engage your opponent. That's the only time you get respect and reciprocity. If you let it go, the power of letting go is not relevant all the time. Sometimes you have to ask a question, however inconvenient a truth it may be. We remember that during the CAA and 370 time, many municipalities were passing resolutions against India.
Yes.
This is important. I was hoping that some municipality in Kadapa and Jhumri Talaiya will also pass a resolution against interference in domestic matters of a country. So yes, I believe that government must encourage individual parliamentarians must get engaged, that if you have a right to ask questions, so do I. And why not?
Yes, indeed. Are there any more questions? Yeah. Senbaga Muthu Rahul. Does she have the support of the Pak lobby? This is Ilhan Omar.
Yes, she has. There are actually in today's Jaipur Dialogue program, Utsav Chakravarti, whom you have quoted in your article, he mentions the name of the Pakistani guy who is now behind bars. He names the guy because she is supported and funded by the Pakistan lobby. And let's be very unequivocal about it. Aman ki Asha be on one side, you have to know who your enemy and friends are. Unless and until you have done your Purva Paksh or knowing the nature of the beast, your response will always be weak. So I believe she has the backing of many lobbies, and she is a poster girl because she can be vocal And I grudgingly admire her for her tenacity. She doesn't give a damn for anything else. I'm doing what I have to do. My question to fellow Hindu American congressmen of Indian origin, I say, at least ask her the question. They have never made any statement. I'm saying, guys, at least ask her question. Is she right? If you read the resolution, first word, the word Hindu is missing from there. Those same communities that she's talking about being violated in India are the communities violated in every country that backs her, including Pakistan. There are no Hindus left. Sikh temple where Gurdwara was attacked in Afghanistan. Does she have anything to say about that? So I question, is it phobia or is it real? That's the issue that we have to continue to ask the question. Thank you.
Next question, please. Saurabh Jadhav wants to know, why does India lack to defend Hindu religion at international level?
That's a profound question. We have tried to answer that many times, and we have configured that we Hindus are very self-satisfied people, and we are very content within ourselves. We believe, let's work. The first generation Indians who came here, they came with $6 or $8 in their pocket. They were not privileged like the current crop of immigrants coming here with an expat package like I came, or H-1B people, technology people coming on a good package. They came with $6 or $8. They were working very hard to make a living. That's what RBI allowed them. So they came here with fringe dollars in their pocket and they made a living, worked hard. So Indians, the first generation Indians, were not so engaged in the social and community life. We Hindus are not organized yet. But it's good to see PGurus himself, Sri Ayerji, in Jaipur Dialogue, Hindu Pact, Hindu American Foundation, Kohna. These institutions are being created, and now we are becoming vocal. So I would urge all of you, those who are directly participant or otherwise, contribute, support these institutions, because as the joke goes about, the entire budget of Cair, Nevada is bigger than all the budgets put together of Hindu American foundations or Hindu organizations. So it's time for us to shell out some money, support institutions and organizations that are working. For example, PGurus himself. So that's what I'm trying to say, that we need to get organized and we have to find the factors that make us happen.
Yes, indeed. And AK wants to know, VBG, how are these Islamists able to use democracy to their advantage? Are Americans so naive not to understand their workings?
That's my favorite question. I'll tell you, what I mean to say is that I have always been saying that you are playing a game of cricket or football, right? Somebody plays the game better. They are playing the game better in democracy. They understood the tools of the democratic process. As a very dear Pakistani friend told me once, soon after 9/11, we are going to take advantage of every democratic tool that you are very proud of. The rule of law, freedom of religion, freedom of speech. We will say whatever we want in your society, but we will not give you that because our society doesn't allow that. This is what I mean to say, you have to demand reciprocity. Americans are not naive. They're very smart people. They're running the world affairs. But in democracy, vote bank matters. And I'll give you one instance. In Georgia election runoff in 2020, Tlaib and AOC and others, and Ilhan included, gave a call to all Muslims to take opportunity to vote for a specific party. And I asked at that time, if Hindus had given a call for this kind of a scenario, there would have been a bavander of any kind, right? That these Hindutva forces are being so sectarian, anti-minorities and all that. So we allow ourselves to become victimized. They are playing the game better. My favorite line is, if your opponent is playing the game better, you got to play the game better still.
AJ wants to know, what is the US government dollar contribution to Cair? How much do US provide to Hindu organizations? He wants to volunteer too. That's
I do not know the exact number, but I do know one thing for sure. The United States has a lot of grants available for under varieties of names in the budgets they have provided for. The question is, who knows it? We don't. We Hindus are hardly dependent on the government for any help. There are people who take full advantage of what government gives. So I would say US Hindu organizations don't even know how to ask for it. And thank you for your support. You can always volunteer. Please, I will say, Ayerji, please give him your my number if he wants to have a particular idea.
Yeah,
Please
yeah,
share. I'm willing to
yeah.
talk.
So what I'll do, Vibhuti, is I'll have your email address so he can
Yes,
send
please
out
do.
an email to you. That's
That's
easier.
perfectly fine.
So
Thank you.
yeah, I'll do that in the description. To anybody who wants to volunteer can reach out Vibhuti, because then he can direct it to his office.
That's perfectly fine. Thank
Somebody
you.
working on the
Thank
campaign.
you.
So we try to make sure that we make full use of your time and effort. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Poonam Abbi wants to know, I came here in 1993 and was categorically told by my family not to do anything to upset the Americans in my college by showing off my intelligence by answering questions correctly. But this is not a question. I think it's just an observation. Poonam, it's not true.
I know Poonam ji because she comments a lot on Jaipur Dialogue, so I'm familiar with her name, although I have never had the privilege of meeting her. You are right. But that was perhaps not to upset the apple cart. But this society, remember one thing, in the schools, they encourage you to ask questions.
Yes.
Even Jeopardy's show is about asking the question. What is the question? We all have answers to questions, but the question that you ask is actually gets you the answer that you are looking for. So we have to ask questions, we have to express ourselves, and we have to participate, Poonamji. Go ahead and be who you are.
Very, very fond memories of being in college. So let's go on to the next question. AJ, is Hindu hatred systemic? US government, media, society, feminism, Democratic Party, Hollywood, Ford Foundation, Open Society, and now Cair. Just too many.
To keep the answer short, I will put it this way, that I have said it on Jaipur Dialogue, and that's my belief, that organized religion their operating systems is based on fear and ignorance. Sanatan principles operated on natural laws. They operate on natural laws. So when Prime Minister Modi described Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam with a new definition under the International Solar Alliance opening, he said there is one earth, there is one sun, and one grid. That's the modern definition of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Likewise, what has happened is with the advent of science and technology that is emerging today, a lot of fear and ignorance is falling aside. As a result of which, a lot of people are becoming ex-Muslims, and a lot of Christians are leaving the Christian fold, becoming atheists. Now, we were welcoming to everybody. We don't impose any conditionality. So somewhere along the line, with the growth of science and technology and our essential principle, this is the Sangam of mega century. This is the actual Sangam of mega century. It's for us to take that message forward. So we, in my opinion, our philosophy has become a threat to organized religion. And that's why these people are attacking us, because to demean us and make us feel irrelevant. Without understanding the Murti Puja, they condemn idol worship. And I told people that it's not idol worship, it's idol worship. And idol worship, I gave the explanation to the American in the American language, that all basketball players have the photo and Murti of, if not Murti, the portrait of Michael Jordan in his room. They all want to be like Mike. That is called paying tribute. And our philosophy is that God lives in all of us. If God created the life forces, life around us, He created life forces, energy, water, air, we are made up of all those forces. So our actions define us eventually. I don't want to kill 5 people today and confess, and then I'm absolved, right? So we have to begin to ask those fundamental questions that are critical to understanding one another. And I will share this example. A Muslim investment banker friend of mine, one day in a very pensive mood, he asked me, why is Islam misunderstood in this part of the world? It's an important thing to understand. I said, it's not misunderstood. It's understood exactly the way you are conveying it. So he asked me, what do you mean? So I said, let me ask you 2 questions. One is, and I don't ask questions, I make an inquiry. I said, whatever may have been the justification of having 4 wives, at one point in time, is this concept valid in 21st century? And then I asked him, do you think you believe in the concept of 72 virgins in these 21st century? He was silent for 10 seconds. And I said, you gave the answer. You, as a CFA, smart guy who does mergers and acquisition transactions, you do number calculations, and you could not emphatically deny that. That's the problem. That when you are rooted to a belief that is unshaken in your mind, okay, but then I have a right to tell you, sorry guy, there are no concept of 72 virgins. That's the issue, that if you are not able to break the barrier of understanding and reality, then you live in a world which is dictated to you. We all know, sir, the entire world knows today the tsunami and nor'easter or earthquake doesn't happen because God gets angry. Thunder and lightning doesn't happen because gods are angry at that point in time. We know the reason why. We have to begin to question the very fundamental of somebody's belief. Question it as an inquiry. Don't question the authority. That's what I want to say.
Thank you very much, sir. I apologize. I just got a phone call that I had to take off. Vibhuti, this was a wonderful, wonderful hangout. I wish you all the best, sir. You're very erudite. You are articulate. Your beliefs are very, very solid. And it's based on very good foundation. And I just hope that your constituents hear you and listen to you. Hearing one, listening is slightly different. If they listen to you, I'm sure you are going to win, my friend. And viewers, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And if you have relatives in Long Island, do share and forward this video with them, so they know that there is a person who's running for state assembly and that you should support or at least look at what he stands for. Thank you once again, Vibhuti. Namaskar.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the moment, and thanks to all the viewers. Much appreciate being here. Thank you.